Welcome to the Round Table. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is my co-host Mike Hill and our producer Nick Wilson, and our guests are Ted and Sarah Trout.
Yay.
Welcome. So, what is your favorite thing to do together?
Ooh, that's a new one. We haven't had that question.
I know.
That's a good question.
I just want to get to really know them. I just adore them.
Boat.
And so,
Whenever
Go
we
boating.
get time to get away, we will rent a little Airbnb at Lake Cumberland, and we'll take our boat down, and we'll cruise Lake Cumberland for 2 or 3 or 4 days.
Just cruise and float and stop at the restaurants along the way. And
marinas.
Marinas, yeah, they all have restaurants anymore.
so you sleep on the boat then? So you
No.
just
We
We
have
go
a-
back to the Airbnb.
Okay.
We usually rent a slip and then
Okay.
just, we park, down by the slip and then
Yeah.
just go back to the Airbnb. Yeah.
Oh, how nice.
Do it all
And the
over again.
Airbnbs are right next to the. I've always wanted to go to Lake Cumberland, but
Like we drive up 2 or 3 miles.
Depends on it.
'Cause
They're
of the
pretty
hills.
close.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get whatever you want. I mean, we're going to take our family down this summer. That's our Christmas present. So we got a bigger house.
Okay.
And we're a mile and a half from that dock. So
Okay.
I mean, when we say Airbnbs, I mean, they're just usually like 1, maybe 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Just him and I,
Yeah.
little tiny kitchen.
Yeah.
We don't,
But that's fun.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
people have said like you need to go down and do the houseboat. Have you ever done it?
Oh
before?
yeah, we've done
And
that a
did you
lot
like
too.
it?
Oh yeah, we do.
Love
We've
it.
done
Is
that.
it? That's what they say. Like you take a houseboat and you get in a cove.
Probably could have bought a houseboat for the down there. It's crazy.
we've
Yeah.
been going for probably 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard.
Wow.
Yeah, back when I was a kid, like that's what people did. They'd get houseboats, and a bunch of families would go, and you pull your boats up beside the houseboat, and you can tie them right
Yep.
on, and you can be back in a cove, and
If the kids want to go tubing or skiing, you just
Yeah.
jump in the boat and take off.
yeah.
The only
There you
thing
go.
is now we have, a little, Presley, Thomas's daughter. And it's just, you kind of worry about them being on a houseboat
Yeah. no,
all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And you're still doing it, right, Ted? Like,
I'm
you're-
still doing it.
he
Yeah.
still skis.
no, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I said
I'm a
that's
slalom
in.
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not a professional. I don't do the buoys and everything, but I can.
Getting up is
Yes.
still, yeah.
But I love to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to go out at all last year, but
Well,
that's
come on,
my,
let's go.
Yeah. Brady keeps inviting me to go. Like, hey, just come. And back to what we were talking about. You just never have,
Yeah.
the time. But our family loves water sports.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and loves to be out on the, so cool that you have a reservoir close. But
Yep.
But we couldn't use it last year.
that's what I mean. And then you have all these problems of you either can't use it, or when you are skiing or boating, you're sucking sticks up or running over
Yeah.
sticks or.
Did we go 2 times last year?
Lake Cumberland?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we usually try to get away at least 2 times, just him and I.
How far down is it?
6 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Pulling the boat. We don't go fast pulling the boat. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Good.
Take our time.
Yep.
Good.
So,
So you watch any favorite shows, movies? What's your...
Well, we'll do a Netflix thing here and there.
like, get on a series.
Yeah. Do you have one? It's been like a binge.
Right now, we're watching Suits.
Yep.
Buddy. Everybody has said that. I have yet to get on.
And
it.
we've
Yeah.
liked Reacher.
Reacher?
The Jack Reachers.
Yeah, the Reacher's really good.
What's another one?
It's a little violent, but it's
It is.
it's good.
Which
it's
one?
a-
The Reacher? Is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the one we were on for a while and then they don't have any more coming out? He was like
the
CIA.
Lincoln Lawyer?
Well, that one too, but he's like CIA, and he was like, went over to like
Jack
South
Ryan?
America, Jack Ryan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we like
loved
that
the
one too,
Jack
so.
Ryan series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is what I like.
Yeah.
Now she'll watch the Hallmark Channel and all the Christmas
every once in a while.
movies.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I like
okay,
Hallmark
I'm
during
out.
Christmas, but not
Not all the time.
no. So
Yeah.
we very rarely watch a regular station, only maybe to get the news if you want to
Are you
call it that.
sports people?
Football.
Oh yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because you're Colts fans.
Yeah.
Colts fans all the way.
Die
Been
Hard.
kind of a tough few years.
Well, it's been. I mean, I was gonna say you got Nick and I who are Bears fans, where it's been a couple bad few decades.
well, that's true.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, we were
haven't
used
had-
to Peyton Manning, so after Peyton left, it's just then we had Luck, which was good, but then he quit.
Yeah, I mean, you
So-
have Gardner Minshew.
Oh, he did okay. did okay.
I
but-
mean,
Yeah, man.
he's not. Yeah, he's not a replacement for Peyton Manning.
yeah, he's not a Peyton Manning dude yet.
I mean, we went since the kids were little. We were in the dome, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
had 4 seats clear up in the nosebleed section on the bench, and Thomas was small enough believe that or not, but he was a little guy, and so we would like squeeze all 5 of us into 4 seats.
We'd buy a cheap seat or a cheap ticket out on the street,
for an
Yeah.
extra.
and then we just all 5 of us sat in those 4 seats.
Ugh,
So we just had a ball.
yeah.
We were there for the first time that they went to when they won that championship game.
The Super Bowl?
No, at the Dome.
When the Patriots played the Colts.
And we
You were
won.
there for that?
yeah.
Yes. Oh, everyone was crying and hugging each other.
So are you big tailgaters? Do you do the whole like tailgating thing?
Sometimes. She has a friend that we met down there,
A childhood friend from
and Dave and Judy,
High school.
and she swam on the swim team with her, and we just happened to run into them. Well, we had 4 seats and they had 4 seats, so we give our 4 seats away when we took 2 of their tickets. So now we meet them, and they're from Greenwood.
Oh.
And so sometimes if the weather's right, we'll take sandwiches and stuff
Yeah.
and have fun and
Yeah.
Let's
tailgate
face it, though,
beforehand.
you and Dave have almost become better friends than Judy and I, who've known each other our whole lives. So
And we're extreme opposites. I
Yeah.
mean, he's this computer engineer, and I'm just a farm boy. So, it's amazing how
Yeah.
we have so much to talk about.
Yeah, that's cool.
that's fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking like what was I going to ask you first, but I thought I'd ask some of these, but I want to know how you guys met. So tell me how.
Am I going to talk? or
Sure.
you gonna talk?
You're the one that always says it, so.
Well, way back when, I don't know what year it was, but way back when, in 6th grade, we were the last 6th grade class to be in the elementaries. So when the 7th grade, I was at Warren, and she was at Lancaster. And so it was our first day of 7th grade year.
We merge.
I was sitting at the cafeteria with a group of my friends. Sarah walks in the cafeteria, and I said, "Boys, I'm going to marry that girl right now
No.
someday."
Is it that's really true?
And so we dated
so
on
he
and off.
says.
I got glasses in the 8th grade. She broke up with me.
Come on.
And then on November the 13th, our freshman year, at 2:55 p.m., I asked her to be my girlfriend.
During study hall, he passed me a note.
How did you- I
that
was gonna
said,
say, how
will
did
you be
you
my
ask?
girlfriend, yes or no? And I,
Yes.
like, he kind of walks by, goes to get a drink, and, passes by, and I read it, and he was like that to me. So.
Did he still have his glasses though, or did he have contacts?
No, he had contacts.
Okay.
I had made my mom get me contacts.
You're like, I want that girl back. So
And we
So you
dated all.
guys were middle
high
school,
school.
sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
And she went to college one year and down at Taylor. And then after her freshman year.
I graduated from Taylor, but yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But after your freshman year, we got married. And she commuted then on down to Taylor. And I stayed at home and worked with Dad on the farm.
Oh, so like your whole family's been farmers forever.
Oh, yeah, forever.
Got it.
Generations.
And my family too.
Yeah. So,
Your family was farmers too.
Well, we had the dairy, so but my dad grew up, in production.
Oh, the dairy, like the milk.
Schinkel, yeah, that was my
got
maiden
it.
name, and they had the dairy,
your
but they
grandparents and great grandparents would milk the cows.
yes.
Nuh-uh.
Bottle it in the glass bottles.
Yes.
Wow.
And deliver it.
Like at one time, I think Huntington County had 6 or 8 or maybe even more dairies. I'm not sure. Everyone had like the mom pop dairies,
Really?
and they were one of them, and then they just lasted.
Wow.
So if there's any Schinkel Dairy glass bottles out there, let us know and we will pay you for them.
Wow.
And then my other side is my mom's side of the family. They were big farmers too. Weaver popcorn. Weaver, yeah.
Okay.
So they were.
So it's a whole farmer
yeah,
family.
it's a whole generational thing. So I don't know.
What do you want to go to school for?
Teach elementary education. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I taught.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that either.
yeah.
what school did you teach at?
Lancaster. I started out Salamone for 1 year, and then an opening. I mean, we lived a mile away from Lancaster.
right.
Came up, and I transferred there. And my specialty is kindergarten. I had a kindergarten endorsement. I loved it. I did.
You loved kindergarten?
Loved it.
Super simple. I
There's-
sat for a while in kindergarten. Super simple.
Like you still gotta like help them tie their shoes.
No,
and
yeah.
Oh well, but that's easy.
A lot of them come
easy.
with Velcro anymore.
You still have to do algebra. It's addition.
yes, and they're
like,
so happy to come to
yeah,
school.
they love you.
Yeah,
You think that's still the case?
I do.
Really?
Our granddaughter Chloe's that way.
Loves it.
Loves it. She's in kindergarten. Just loves
I think
it.
for the most part, the kindergartners are excited to be there.
Does it all change once you go into the first grade or something?
Well,
Lexi teaches first grade, and
Yeah.
I think, right? Yeah, I'm almost
I
positive.
don't remember. I think so. I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're
And
right.
some of the stories she tells me of some of them first graders, they ain't loving school at
Yeah.
all. It's a little
there's a lot
crazy.
for them to handle at home to come and love it, but when we got to fourth grade, it was a little different.
Yeah,
So
I don't think teachers get paid enough.
no,
She taught, well, how long did you teach? 7,
10?
8, 9 years?
I don't know.
10 years?
7 to 10, somewhere in that range.
And then my dad retired from farming, and then it was just nuts. And so she came home and
Yeah.
helps on the farm. And
One point, too, we had a trucking company and we were hauling milk, and I was
You guys
teaching.
hauled milk to-
Oh yeah, for
we,
the
we
dairy.
owned the trucks and ran the drivers, and
We had like 3 trucks at one time.
3 trucks and 5 employees. So we'd slip seat them.
Milk
Yeah.
deliver
To the grocery stores.
the 7 day. No,
No,
so
6
not go
days.
to the dairy.
6 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd go to the dairy and pick up a trailer.
Yeah. And you'd go to the grocery store.
Yeah, because I always think about the guy that shows up at Sarah's mom and dad's farm. I mean, it's the same guy. He's there 7 days a week. I mean, it's the
Yep.
from Becker's out of Bern. Like he shows up and
Yeah.
same time every single day picking up milk at the dairy. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Do they have a dairy?
Who?
Sarah's mom and dad. Oh,
Yeah, they milk 100
Okay.
some cows, something like that.
So I got a funny story about milking.
Okay.
My dad had 40, about 40 Holstein cows when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I was always out in the barn helping Dad. And one night, Mom would always turn the front porch light on when it's time to come in the house. So I was playing in the milk house, and I put the garden hose in the bulk tank.
Oh,
And my dad came in, and he was furious. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just helping fill it up, Dad."
Oh no! I bet he
had-
was super proud of you.
He had one of those straps, so they had a big black strap that'd go over the cow, and they'd hang the milkers on it. He smacked that on the floor and said, "You go to the house." The next day, the milkman came, and they ran probably half of that tank on the ground out the drain.
Yeah.
And I had to stand there and watch and learn my lesson.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. Dairy farmers, that's a job, man. Especially when they used to do it in stanchions and
Oh yeah, that's how we did it.
oh my gosh, that's, yeah. There's
So-
work and then there's dairy farming.
Yeah.
That's work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's big time work.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So when you grew up, was church in your childhood? Did your parents take you? What did that look like?
you want me to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on both sides of the family, everyone went to church. Everyone, both sets of grandparents. My great grandpa Weaver, even was a minister, big in Church of the Brethren.
Oh.
And but anyways, that's kind of how like the whole Weaver popcorn thing happened. He loved to garden, and so he would but he was like kind of a mad scientist, and so he would splice varieties together and make his own popcorn, and he would deliver it to people when he would go to visit in his horse and buggy. And I don't know if you've
Wow.
ever seen like the Pop Weaver. That's because everyone called him Pop. So Pop. So that kind of we grew up going to church. I'm just saying that was part of
Yeah,
the story.
right.
And then my grandma and grandpa, everyone just went to church. We just went to church.
Yeah.
So
I grew up in a little Baptist church in Warren. We went every Sunday, even though we had cows. We never missed. And Dad was always up early, and we always went to church.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah and I started in that church when we first got married. And then after that, we went to Markle, and then here we are at Life.
both of our parents had the saying that the cutoff was midnight for dates. And if you're not going to get it done by midnight, then nothing good happens after midnight or something like
Nothing
that.
good happened.
I
And if you stay out
love-
till midnight, you can be up in the Sunday morning and go to church.
Yes, if you're
I
going to.
love that if you can't get it done by midnight, you the mantra of dating. If you can't get it done by midnight, you might as well just go
Ted
home.
would always push it a little bit and drive home probably too fast, and they had this little, what do you call it?
Shetland sheepdog.
Shetland sheep, and he would always get hot dogs.
So he wouldn't
Sometimes on our
bark?
date, and so he'd open up the
Yes.
garage door and throw Farrah some hot dogs.
Yeah, the
So
good.
the dog wouldn't bark.
Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, keep from getting in trouble.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is so funny. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So since you went to church your whole life, when did you accept Jesus? What did?
well, so I because of this, I kind of was contemplating that. I just always, I just at a very young age, I had Jesus in my heart. I just did. I can remember though, and I was like, I think it was 11 or 12. I just like started asking about it, like, what do I have to do to make this official or whatever? And of course, the Church of the Brethren back then was very, well, you just had to go through classes.
Oh.
So it was more, it wasn't like a spiritual whim type thing, you know what I'm saying? They wanted to make sure if you were young that you knew and understood. And so then
So is that like a certain age? Because like in 8th grade, we had to do like a confirmation class. And so it was like a year-long class that we had to do.
I don't feel like it was. I just feel like I voiced interest, and then all these other people started voicing interest, and because they wanted to get a group together to do the class so they didn't have to do it for one person type thing. But I still feel like, though, I can remember clearly, like, being dunked. We got dunked 3 times.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank goodness
There's
I was
an
a
idea.
swimmer.
Cover all your bases.
Thank
In case
goodness
we
I
missed you the first time, let's hit you again.
I knew how to hold my breath because I was a swimmer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can just remember thinking, wow, when I understood it, and I felt different, I don't know, it was just neat.
Yeah.
So that was my story.
So I was 13, and I had a very vivid dream. I was in a garden, and I had a black and white dream, and there was this super white light coming toward me, and then there was a figure of a man walking toward me, and I just woke up then. He didn't come all the way to me, and I started asking questions, and Mom and Dad took me I met with the preacher one-on-one for about 3 weeks on a Saturday morning, and I was baptized after that.
Wow.
So-
Do you have since then? Are you a dreamer that way? Like, do you have?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. So you get visions and dreams.
I will have a dream, and we'll be at a situation, and I'll say, I've dreamed about this before, but not a lot, but some.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. 'Cause you don't hear that very much with people of like having visions and dreams and.
And then another thing that kept me on the straight and narrow too, that was really good for me is I sang in a gospel group called Jubilation when I was in high school and college age.
So you're a singer?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a really good bass.
I was in Varsity Singers. We sang for 10 years. Our kids
Wow.
were in Varsity Singers. We were Varsity Singer parents for 9 years. But
Thomas is a singer?
Oh,
heck
Thomas is
yeah.
a very good singer.
So
Wow. I would have.
We just had auditions on Sunday.
Well,
We're the Von,
do it
we're the Von
again.
Trout family.
I carry a tune, but that's it. Everybody else is like these big solo voices, and
Yeah.
they blend well together. There's a video we have of them, Anna and Thomas and Ted, sang at Becca's wedding, and they were just, I didn't even know they could do that when
Wow.
the 3 of them got, and they just, yeah.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
So I
Everybody
sang in a
learned something
gospel
new.
group, and we had a very good director. His name was Keith, and we always had devotions. We practiced every week. We traveled around Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and sang for about 10 years. And there was one time that we were at a church, and we sang, and the preacher preached, and then everybody left. We met everybody, and they left. And then Keith set us down and said, "You just heard a false sermon this morning, and a false teaching, and I'm gonna straighten you out."
Wow.
Then this is what it was. So we sat there for another half an hour,
Wow.
the 5 of us, and we learned what the false teaching was. So
Unbelievable.
it was very good, and it was very great for me.
Yeah.
So
and you had a vision at one time where you thought maybe you were supposed to go into the ministry.
I did.
You did.
It's never too late.
When I was a senior in high school, I just thought, I could be a preacher. I really thought about being a minister. And then I thought, I do not want to go back to school. And so I just went down the farming road and
So, have you ever preached?
no, I've never
Yes,
preached.
you have.
I've taught Sunday school.
No, we sat at Taylor University.
Oh,
They
well, we
asked
give
us
a
to do a thing.
devotion.
Well, kind of, but you basically were walking the stage and preaching. I'm just like,
Who we follow? Chuck Swindell?
no.
No,
Was
who
it,
was it? Who was it?
was it Jay Kessler?
Jay Kessler.
Yeah, right.
Now, so Chant
We were the
Thompson-
next day.
Chant Thompson came to us and said, "Would you do a devotion at this big convention he's having?" And so we got there and we were planting, and he left a book on our back porch, and Sarah said, "Have you looked at the book?" I said, "No, we're fine."
Yeah.
Have you looked at the book? Do you know who you're following?
Maybe we should give it a little bit of prep.
You're following Jay Kessler. And I said, "No way." Then I was like, "Oh."
Anna even ended up singing.
Yep.
Or Anna came and sang at the end.
I took
We
a
had whole
bag of seed
program.
corn up, and we talked about planting seeds.
So is that something you want to do here? You want to preach?
I would, sure, I'd give it a whirl, but everybody'd probably walk out. So,
Hey, Eric preached one time upstairs and they didn't
did?
walk out, and he dropped his note cards and everything. And then he yeah, it was a
I don't
little
know.
mess, but he did it.
God wanting you to? Do you feel like that? Or do you?
I haven't had that feeling, no, but
So,
We'll
well,
pray. We'll
but
pray. See if God brings some of those feelings.
go.
forth.
He's a wise guy. He's a wise man. I mean, I just think God's used him a lot in life. So
so I hope I didn't mess up by not choosing that, but I don't think that I have.
Yeah, I would say you're just preaching and doing ministry in a different way.
But and that brings up a good topic too. We got very involved with a church plant in San Luis Potosí, Mexico,
Did you really?
and there was a missionary that left or came from Markle, and she went down to San Luis and started a church, and then we got involved with that and made many trips down there building the building. We did spackle, where you take the concrete and you throw it against the wall, and then you smooth it out over the bricks. And
Wow.
I mean, when we first went, they were meeting in a lot that was, we had to clear the trash away and carry in the cinder blocks and boards for seats, and did Bible school there. And it's Amy Noyola is her name, Amy Brain. She's from Markle area, Noyola, and
she
yeah,
married a
native.
native, yes.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so and we still try to support them a lot.
So we do that, and I love taking missions trips.
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place you've been?
Caracas, Venezuela. We were down at Caracas for 2 weeks,
Wow.
and we were building so there was this abandoned home, and it was a very nice home.
Like what type of a home? What do you mean?
Oh, like a house in Florida where there's many rooms and just huge, and a swim pool. The swim pool is empty, but they wanted to make that a Christian camp, and so we were down there supporting the Lynn family, and they wanted to make that a Christian camp. So we were building a cafeteria or a mess hall, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And we had a little portable concrete mixer, and my job was 20 shovelfuls of gravel, 20 shovelfuls of sand, 2 bags of concrete mix, and 10 gallons of water.
Yep.
And then the guys would come up with their wheelbarrows, and we'd take it over, and we just couldn't pour concrete fast enough.
Yeah.
And so one night, I said, what would it cost if we would go to the concrete company and have them bring it out? Well, we're 1.7 miles down this dirt road, up and down.
Yeah.
And the concrete company came out, and it would rain every afternoon.
Right.
So hot. And the concrete company man said, it cannot rain for us to get back here. So we prayed for the next day. All the guys down there, we prayed, and the concrete company came. We got 2 truckloads in there, got it all smoothed out. The trucks got back out to the main road, and it rained.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
That's neat.
Yep.
Yeah, so one of the questions I have, because I think this is one of the things we've talked about when we get married couples on, greatest challenge in your marriage, and again, you don't, or greatest advice that you would have for married
Advice?
couples? Yeah.
Well, Ted always has a joking one about advice. Would you always tell
I don't know what you're talking about. I seriously don't.
that when you fight?
Just tell your wife, I don't know
One
what you're
time
talking
about. We were having a really big
I
fight.
can't believe you're going to bring this up.
You told me this one. This is the best thing ever. I remember
So-
this advice.
But he tells everybody like
So Sarah and I were in an argument, and she was upstairs yelling at me, and I'm sure I deserved every minute
it
of
was
it.
over finances. That's tough in a marriage.
Yes. Yeah.
And she came down, and she did not happen to have any top on. Well, Sarah is very verbal with her hands. And so she's giving me one of these deals. And about 20 seconds later, I get a smile on my face. And I said, honey, I'm so sorry, but I'm not hearing a word you say.
I remember when you told me that story. I'm like,
So
that is the
when you go
funniest
to the
thing.
weddings and they put the microphone in front of you and say, do you have any advice for the new married couple? Mine is let's fight naked.
There you go. Yeah, that's
It won't last very long.
that is
I can't
good.
believe you
funny.
brought that.
Okay, so that's your
Funny.
marriage advice. What about raising kids?
Oh. Yeah, right. Bigger kids, bigger problems. You're never done raising them.
Yeah.
Even when they're adult, you just worry and you pray for them, and
Right.
and I just think just love them. Just, I mean,
You learn on the go.
sitting back, I wish I would have done stuff different. Of
Me
course.
too.
Yeah.
You would? Like what?
I was pretty hard on Thomas when he was a young kid from 2 to 4.
He was a tornado.
He just didn't know what no just means no. And I would swat him about every day, and I just wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I could have found some other way to do that.
Yeah.
So
I yelled. I'm a yeller.
Really?
I have been a yeller.
Okay.
I've gotten that under control as the years have gone by. But that's kind of how I was raised.
Right.
So, that was something, I just wish I wouldn't have done that. So,
Because I think the challenge that young couples are facing today that are having kids and raising them up is that, everybody wants what's best for their kids. Everybody wants to create opportunities for their kids to hopefully know Christ, And so are there any things that you guys did in raising your children that would be like, these are some things that we did that just helped the process of at least getting them on the right footing, and not just spiritually, but just in general? Were there things that
well, we were very involved with the young program at church.
the youth group.
The kids were all in Sunday school class or youth group, and
We were youth leaders at one
we were
point.
senior high youth leaders for
Okay.
a little while, and we were just always at the church if something was going on. But then life changed a little bit, and we started showing livestock. Rebecca showed horses, and Thomas showed pigs later, and so you tried to do a little devotional or something on the road, but
right?
Because then you're gone on the weekends,
Yeah,
when they
for sure.
decided to go down this path. But
so, and we talked about the importance of God, and we felt bad about missing church, but yet also we made tons of friends showing horses. And those friends are still our friends today.
Right.
And I think even going through the tragedy that we did, those friends, I hope we got to testify to them. Because
they were there for us too.
Because one of the people said to me, he said, well, what's God going to do with me? And I said, well, what's God going to do with me? So it turned it into a God conversation,
Right.
which was a good thing.
Right.
I think people knew. So we joined a trainer. This is kind of another funny story. We joined a trainer in Illinois, and he had a group of people that were already involved in him.
He probably there were probably 10 families or at least, and you would go to the shows and they would always be, they'd stall together and
Yeah.
he'd do all the lessons and whatever together.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
the trainer would.
he set everybody down in their group and said, the Trouts are coming on board and we got to clean it up. Little did they know that we had
just
our
real.
struggles too,
Yeah,
and
right.
we just fit right in.
But they were like family and honestly still are to this day.
Absolutely.
So
We'll go to weddings and things that are important, and it's just a lot of fun.
Tom, our trainer, and his significant other, Kenny, were like dads to my kids. And then Rebecca struggled with an eating disorder that we honestly had no clue. But they saw it.
Really?
And so through them, that's when we started getting, after confrontation, and whatever,
Right.
started, and she was adamant about no. And then on the way home from the horse show, she broke down and said, I
Wow.
do have an eating disorder. So, but because of them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, they could identify it and open a door.
Yep.
That, Yeah. So what about, because your kids are having kids, right? So.
Right. That's the best.
Yeah, so now you have a new perspective. So as grandparents, what role does a grandparent play from the standpoint of encouraging your kids and your grandkids and spiritually? Like how now does that shift? Because I do think that that's a whole different opportunity, but it is a great opportunity.
Well, I feel like maybe I'm talking over you, but I don't want to. But I feel like our kids are doing a better job with their kids in the church than what we did. And for instance, Brody, our 5th grade grandson, is now known to be at Salamone School, and he'll lead the prayer before lunch. The kids
Really?
all sit down, and Brody will pray. And Chloe, who was 5, just had a dance recital, and there's hundreds of kids backstage, and they said, "Would one of you girls like to pray?" And there was silence, and Chloe, at 5 years old, stood up and said, "I'll pray."
Wow.
And so she prayed for
And it's
everybody.
a good prayer. I mean,
before they danced.
I
So
think some of it is honestly because of our journey with Rebecca.
Right.
And our faith that we had to cling to, and even our kids' faith, and being open with our kids, and just, when you have one foot in heaven and one foot here, I feel like that sometimes, I mean, we all do, but I think when you're brought to that, when, it's more real.
Right.
I don't know, but through the lots of conversations, and we talk about Aunt Becky all the time, and they know her, and we're just an open book about it. Anna and Rebecca were like best friends. Well, Becca was best friends with Thomas too. She was the middle child,
Right. Yep.
the glue that held them together. But I just think through lots of conversations, the kids just have a realistic grasp of eternity and earth.
Right. And how do you see, not only from a grandkids, but how do you encourage your kids now differently than you did when they were at home? Do you have different ways that you guys, whether it's challenging them, encouraging them? Because again, we have all sorts of audience that listens and watches, and I'm at that place. Like, I have grown kids, and you're trying to figure out, because I would agree, you never stop being a mom and dad.
Yeah.
But the way that we approach and help our grown kids is significantly different than what we were doing. So, maybe ways that you guys are helping and encouraging, or things that you possibly are doing with your...
Depends on what day you talk to them, whether we're helpful and encouraging or not.
Well, the struggle we have, and I'm sure my kids would say the same thing, is we all work together.
Oh,
We have 2 hog buildings, and
Yep.
Thomas is going to take over ownership of those here shortly. Lucas has a chicken barn. We all farm together.
There's a lot of togetherness.
The girls
Yes.
always bring supper to the fields,
Okay.
which we are very grateful for. She drives a combine. She drives a semi. She'll do anything we need done.
You drive a semi?
The automatic one.
Do you have your CDL?
No, you don't have to for it on. But I drove.
I was just curious. I'm not.
When Rebecca then, I'd say the last 2 years of Rebecca's showing career, she had 3 horses for one kid. We had a 4-horse. How long was that trailer?
34 feet on the floor.
They're huge.
So, that pretty much became, if I can drive that.
Yeah, you can do
and
anything.
we would drive that thing all over. Rebecca and I would drive that thing all over the country.
Wow.
So it just kind of morphed into that.
And I took her around
That's
the
what
square
he
mile
said.
one time, and I said, "Okay, you're good." And I just told her, I said, "When you pull into a truck stop or anything, just know how you're going to get out."
Yeah.
I
Have-
wouldn't
have a
say
way
I'm
out.
like there all the time by any means,
Yeah,
but
but-
this year I was there probably a little bit more than I've been because the girls, Andy, my daughter-in-law, and Anna, really did take over the meal prep, and it allowed me to be more available if they need an extra person. So
So you're constantly, it's not you're working with them every day, so it's a constant.
So it
can go both ways.
It can go both ways.
some days are good days and we're all together having fun and a loving family, and then other days opinions
Yeah.
and power struggles and
Yeah. It always gets in the way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So if you can talk through this, so you guys obviously you grow up in church, your faith is strong, you're having kids. Things are, again, in the standpoint, everybody has struggles, but things are going the right way, and then you guys experience a tragedy. So, tragedy can look different in multiple people's lives, and you guys can maybe describe for our audience what that is for you. But I think the thing that we want to get at is that there are a lot of people who would grow up with this, I have faith and we love the Lord, and man, we're there and we're celebrating and things are good until they're not.
Exactly.
And I think this is such a huge, because it's not just like you guys will share your story, but for a lot of people, it might not be to that extent, but so many people run into this where you had this faith and when life was going good and these little interruptions of things or big interruptions are huge. They're just monumental on which way we end up going. And sometimes it's not always in the right direction, but it brings us back. And so I think it's good for our audience and the people that are watching and listening to kind of go with you guys as much as you want to share through that, not only what the tragedy was, but I mean, just being honest, like this is how it affected my faith. Because those things for me were very much like, yeah, I mean, this doesn't make sense. These, being able to process kind of what your thought process was that led to it, and then how you guys are where you are today. Because, I mean, you're saying today the tragedy has brought things closer together and it's brought faith, but a lot of times that's not always the case, so maybe how you guys got there. So as much as you want to share about.
Go ahead.
So why don't you tell like how it happened?
Okay.
Because I have trouble with that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, Rebecca was 23 years old, and like Sarah said, she was our middle child, and she just got married in August, and so she was married for about 8 or 9 months.
Because this was May.
And it was raining quite a bit, and we weren't able to plant, and she had a mowing accident, rolled a mower down into an open ditch, and
Because it kind of gave way from the rain.
we lost her.
How old was she?
23.
She got trapped in 3 feet of water.
So, life was a blur after that for about 2 years. And
Maybe 3.
when I was in my singing group with Jubilation, I always said, those kids that I sang with get up and give awesome testimonies. And I always said, I go to church, been to church all my life, I don't have a testimony. Well, now I feel like I do. And to say that that's what made my faith real was probably true. And the tragedy was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was a fog where you just put one foot in front of the other every day and you just trying to move forward. And for me, it was very tough. And but that's when my faith became real. And I just was floored by the support of our community that we got. That was amazing. There was a family that came from Markle and helped us finish our planting that spring. The Best family showed up with a planter and a seed tender, and they planted about 700 acres of beans for us.
Steve Best, Troy Wolf.
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
they were amazing, and I still remember that to this day.
Yeah.
Forever grateful.
Because it was a wet spring and that was hard, and it was a tough time in farming anyways, because that was during, kind of like what we're going through now.
Yeah.
Except we didn't have the high interest rates where inputs were high and prices were low, and then that happened, and it affected our business because we couldn't even think. We were in a fog. We're still trying to pull out of that.
Yeah, for
to
sure.
be honest.
Yeah.
It was just a really rough time. But even looking back before, I feel like God was preparing me, at least, I think even us, for it to come. Ted and I kind of went through a rough time in our marriage right before that, like rough. But then we ended up on the other side. I recommend everyone goes to marriage counseling with a Christian counselor.
I just say counseling.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we just had this conversation the other day of like, so I do premarital, and I always put the word counseling, but what it actually should be is coaching, because I am not a
exactly.
counselor, but I think everybody should be in marriage coaching and counseling together. But the idea that you don't have to wait to go till it's bad.
Right.
You know, go while it's good.
Amen.
And continue to learn. Because, you know, people get leadership coaches all the time. People get, coaches that will help them in other areas of their life financially. But isn't it weird, like the most important thing in
Exactly.
your life, we tend not to work on? Because that's what I always said. I just had premarital counseling last night. I said, I know you're going to think this sounds weird. But I said, the majority of people that go into a marriage with no plan to grow it, right? Like we go into a business, you have a business plan. You go in and you have a financial plan. Every year you work on that plan. But most of the time, most marriages don't have a plan on how they're going to work on growing their love for one another. So
One thing that was huge for us, too, to get us through this time in our life, we had 2 couples that came around us, and
They were there with us every Monday after Becca's. See, and this is what God does. Like if he's been so good. I mean, we went through all that tough. We were strong as a couple, and then that happens. And my friend, she's been my best friend since 7th grade, Rachel Smith, which you all know and love because she sings. But she even, like, that year she had got me for Christmas a women's version of reading through the Bible in a year. And that was very instrumental, I think, in just even being in the Word every day. And there's a whole story about that with Becca, of where God took me and, like, literally spoke to me for one of the first times in my life. But I think he was prepping us. But when Ted is weak, I usually tend to be strong. And when I'm weak, Ted is strong. I mean, just like right now, he's, I just think God does that for us. And I think that's one of the things that has helped us get through it.
Yeah.
So,
and so the prepping part, so you're saying like you guys were working on yourselves, your life,
our marriage,
your
our
spiritual journey.
spiritual journey.
Yeah.
I got a jerk to knot in our tail with our marriage.
Yeah.
And, I think it's sometimes, just when you think you have it all figured out, you realize you don't. So I'll never forget, Ted and I were asked to MC at our church Valentine's program night or whatever. And, date night, and old couple, older couples, youthful couples, everyone. And it was big.
Yeah.
It was, and you think maybe some of the reason you were chosen was because they think you have a good marriage, you know what I'm saying? And then it wasn't long after that I just feel like the devil's like,
Yeah.
what can I do, and because we thought we had it. And you don't realize how you need to protect your marriage. And
Right.
yeah.
And I think it's interesting, Ted, when you talk about, people coming to help. I think it's the one missing link that people don't see about Christian community. Sometimes we think Christian community is you get together and you do Bible study and you learn more about the Bible and you do all, which is fine.
Sure.
But honestly, the most impactful pieces of all of my life have not been in a study with a big revelation of something that I learned more about Scripture. It's been about a friend and a brother in Christ that you don't even know how much that means until you need them. And then when those people show up, I don't even know what to say. It does something to my heart. There are those moments in my life I have never forgotten.
Yeah.
Never
I'll never
forgotten
forget
when
it.
somebody shows up because of community that was built. That's what I think people miss. Like, you got to be in community, and it's not even just about learning more about the Bible, right? Or being in a small group. It's so much about having those people in your life, because all of our time is coming, whether we can either be that for somebody, you know, or we need that from somebody that's in that community.
So I would say in this time when Becca passed, that's when my faith turned on. I always had it in the background, but I never really needed it.
Yeah.
But now
Or never relied on it with every breath.
it's ready.
Right.
And I remember standing around, you know, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, grandkids, everybody standing around the family. And we prayed before we started the funeral, and I just cried out to God.
Yeah.
And that's when it turned on. Because I needed it.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about what was that, like, how was your mind when it comes to, so anybody when, you know, something happens in life, whether it's losing somebody or life gets turned upside down, like.
Why me?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? Why me?
Yeah.
See, I'm going to go more positive.
Okay.
I remember things like even when we went to the accident site, like, oh, the birds are singing. And it was dusk, and it was a beautiful sunset. And I'm just like, I don't know what to feel. I don't know what to think. But that's what, like, my mind went to. I think it was God, like, you know, I felt him there in that moment. So, and just keeping that. I mean, there for a long time, and I'll never forget even going home. My sister drove me home, and she said she'll never forget. It was just kind of odd because I was almost joyful in the car-ish, because I just looked at Jody and I was like, you know, Rebecca like met Jesus, you know, today. And like, I was like happy for her. The worst day of my life was literally the best of hers.
What was cool as a dad, I got to baptize all three of my kids.
Yes.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, that makes faith real too.
Right.
Because we know where she's at. We know her name was written in the book of life.
Right.
Just like all of ours.
Right.
Her whole mission was going to be helping others. She graduated. I don't even know what her degree is, but she was a caseworker for Paddock View.
Oh,
It was like
really?
a horse therapy place in Marion.
Oh, wow.
But she was in grad school. Had started grad school at what's the place in Marion? The school in
Indiana Wesleyan.
Indiana
Yeah.
Wesleyan,
Right.
and was in grad school for addictions counseling because she wanted to help other people the way she had been helped through counseling, and she was on fire. You know, she
The
just
things we
was.
found were amazing. Bible verses written on a sticky note or
Right.
notes here and there or just whatever.
And then even just and the posts that she had made on Facebook, you know, she just wise beyond her years. I think just because of what she went through, you know, just yeah.
And you know, and it's just not us going through it. It's our family. It's our
Yeah.
kids. It's our grandkids.
And you're never through it.
No.
That's when you talk about like when child loss and grief. I don't know that you're ever through it. You just kind of it just kind of morphs into something different as time goes by.
Yeah, so this might be hard to do, but what I like to try to do is, because I think that everything is like God specifically sets stuff up for other people, you know. And so you guys being on here today, I know that there's going to be people watching, and I know that there are people going to be listening that have lost a child, that are in this stage of, I can't get out of the pit. Like, I can't get out of the fog. Like, I can't, like, I have days that I get up out of it and have days that I get back into it. So is there anything that you guys can give advice to those who are struggling of how to continue? Because I think you're right. Like, it does activate faith, but at the same time, were there some practical things that, like, these are some things that I did. These are some things that I continue to do. These are some things that are really important, you know, or were really important for us as we work through it. Because the other piece of it is that sometimes a loss of a child can have a detrimental effect on a marriage, you know, and so.
We're a rarity. I mean, over 50% of the couples get a divorce.
Right.
I don't know that, but see, I feel like God prepared us by going through that horrible time in our marriage.
Yeah.
I do.
Right. I'm just amazed though, because that's the thing is that child tragedies tend to cause, I mean, it's really hard to get up out of that. So whether it's, you guys were prepared, but were there other things that maybe you guys did individually as you were working through that, or things that you guys did together to help you along in your journey that you could help other people could hear?
I just made it that, so I swear God did this, had it all planned from the start. Brody, our oldest grandson, his birthday is May 12th. Rebecca passed away in the evening of May 11th. The next day was Brody's birthday. And so I had to get up. You have to get up. I had to be there for Brody and we, be positive, and I just had to get up. And then I thought about that and I was like, I just have to get up every day. Just get out of bed. And then get in the Bible, just read. I didn't know what to read. So I just kept reading what Rachel had given me, reading through the Bible every day. And it was probably about 3 or 4 months down the road, I one night just told Ted, I don't think tomorrow I am going to get up. I was just hit a low spot and just told him, I just don't think I'm going to get up tomorrow. I don't know what you're going to do. And I didn't care.
Yeah. Right.
I was almost to a place where just put me someplace and I'll watch TV and they can give me medicine and I can play bingo. I don't know. But
that's a funny way to put it.
But I just didn't care.
Yeah.
And so I went to bed that night. And I knew he was worried, but I didn't care.
Yeah, right.
Because he's going through it too.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Grief can become selfish sometimes. And so I went to bed that night, and that Bible Rachel had given me was laying right there on the bedstand. And literally, I heard this audible voice say, read.
Really?
I was so mad, I couldn't even pray. And so I read, and I was like, whatever. It didn't even apply to, it was basically David and all of his toils and turmoil, and, they were ousting him, and he was hiding in caves and whatever. And I pretty much said that to God. I all but cussed him out, literally, like, great, read. That came to me again. So I read another day. And then I was still like, read. So I read one more day, and it was, I hate poetry. I'm just going to start out by telling y'all, I hate poetry, but it was 2 Samuel 22:2, and it starts in, it's basically David is writing a poem about all of his woes and what he's been going through. But 2 Samuel 22:2 is, the Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. And that just struck me just because I just imagined him being my rock and he's protecting me, and he's going to deliver me from this. And then just the rest of the poem or whatever, the verses were beautiful. And literally, I recommitted my life to Christ right then and there.
Wow.
And got up the next day, and of course, he was glad to see me up. But a couple weeks, I got back up. Rebecca was born on 2/22 of 92. And none of my other kids had a favorite number, but she was obsessed with 2s. 2s were always meant for her. 2s were an omen. 2s were a sign. If we went to a horse show, if it had a 2 in it, buddy, she's going to be good.
She's going to be winning.
And if it doesn't, I don't know, But anyways, and when she turned 22, it was her golden birthday. Yeah. I literally had never known what a golden birthday was until she turned 22 and made such a big deal about it. She turned 22 on the 22nd, and I was like, oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you turned 22 on the 22nd, that was your golden birthday, but that was a long time ago, so
That was a way long time ago.
But anyway, but when I first had come to that point in reading the Bible, that, took me 3 days. I must have been 3 days behind. But I didn't pay attention to what the verse was or anything like that. And literally, like, week, 10 days down the road, I started going down that road again. I was like, I got to go back and read that. So I went back and read it. That was fine. Then it hit me again another few days down the road. I went back and read it again. I'm like, what is that? So I can look that up.
Yeah.
And when I Like I need to pay attention to what that is. And when it was 2 Samuel 22:2, I just all but like fell on the floor.
Wow.
Right.
The goodness of God to like,
Yeah.
I just felt like he was telling me like he had Becca and just even in his, if he knows everything, which we say he does, before I was even born, that
Yeah.
he was going to bless me with that sign
Amazing.
and that, I don't know. But
And we get tons of 22s today.
yeah, to this day, we get tons of, and it's always during family things or good things, pivotal things, even
Yep.
financial things.
Yeah, I've always said in grief for people, the confirmation that God is still there.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I know that we say he is, but then when we get the gift of, I got you, I mean, those things are, yeah.
I just can't believe he loved me that
Yeah,
much, honestly, But that's what I would say is just get up every day and read
Good.
the Bible.
To emphasize that you said what God is still there. When hers was 2 Samuel 2:22.
22:2.
22:2, sorry. Mine became Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17 and 18. And I'm going to not get all the words correctly here, but I'm going to get close.
Yeah.
Though there are no sheep in the pens, no cattle in the stalls, no grapes on the vine, no figs in the tree, yet I will rejoice in the God, my Lord and my Savior. Now, my counselor taught me that. And that was huge. And if I have any advice for anybody is find a counselor. And a Christian counselor would be great. And surround yourself with great Christian friends.
And just to look up. I mean, I just think that's what God was teaching me that night too, is just look up. Try to think of the positive and your other family and because you can
Right.
get selfish in your grief,
No.
and I hate to say that, but you can.
Yes, for sure.
And one thing I've learned too, I wasn't good with grace, giving grace to other people, because when somebody lost a loved one before Rebecca died, it's been, I would go up and say, oh my gosh, it's been 2 months, come on, get through it.
You wouldn't say that to them.
No, but you would think that.
Yeah, no, right, right.
Oh, come on, it's been 6 weeks, you're okay now.
Right, right,
That doesn't work.
Right.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because they're always here,
right.
always.
Yeah, there's always that significance of, it's something still there, and getting over it. I mean, what's that even really mean?
No.
So Charlie, my counselor, always taught me, he said, point to your heart. This is your heart.
Yeah,
And he always start the session, where's your heart?
yeah,
This is my heart.
Because your thoughts control your emotions and your, I don't know. It's hard. It's a journey, and we still have bad days.
yeah.
You know, her birthday's coming up. That'll be tough. It always is. It'll be her 10th birthday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not here.
You do something kind of cool, don't you, on her birthday? Like Becca's act of kindness or something day or something? Do you do that on her birthday?
Beck's blessings.
Yes.
Her birthday and even the day that she died, we kind of,
Oh, okay.
Small random acts of kindness. When we had a platform through Board and Brush, we kind of went really public with that, encouraging people to do random acts of kindness, and it really blew up there and there are times I still think we should take it further, but time just gets away from you. Like we should make that a ministry, like a 501c type thing, and not for profit, and do things and really bless somebody, like people that really need it through Beck's blessings. I don't know, Mike. Maybe that's we just have never taken the
Yeah.
time to,
Yeah.
because we're just busy, and we should take the time to do something.
Yeah. I think what you guys said too is that one of the things we need to remember, and both of you have inferred this, is that we have to take captive those thoughts in our mind that are driving us into places that we shouldn't be.
And that's just the devil. He just wants
Oh.
to get, and when you're grieving, boy, he is probably jumping up and down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me personally, that always made sense when you read the scripture verse says, take captives your thoughts and put them next to truth, essentially, and that's oh yeah, that makes sense, until you really need to do it. I hear this and I have to find a truth that can offset it, because I think that's that's a challenge, whether it's grief or struggle or any of those things. It's like, it's not only just like, I know this is a lie, but what is the truth, and figuring that out.
And you've been a great mentor to me. Just to watch you go through it, I am amazed at how you went through it. And it's just what a blessing to us. And one of the big things that you've taught me is I've always said, I want to use my faith. I want to go see Becca someday. And you taught me that, no, you need to go see Jesus someday, which will lead you to Rebecca. So you need to be more excited about seeing Jesus. And that's really taught me a lot. And I'm trying to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an eye-opening thing for me when I was like, oh, no. When you lose somebody you're that close to, you're thinking, oh, crap, is that who I really want to see? But being reminded of those things.
Yes.
So, well, again, from our perspective, Life Church is thankful that, I know it could have been easy to go from the, Markle and come here, but for the time that we've had you guys and,
Well, what brought us here was the funeral director told us we had Rebecca's viewing in the sanctuary of the church.
Because we knew it was going to be big.
Yeah.
They knew it was going to be big.
And he told us before it even started, one of the concerns is this
He's
is
like,
going to be
"Man, I hate
rough for you to come here to go to church."
Yeah, right.
And it was horrible for her. It was hard for me too.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was horrible for her.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was just going to Sunday school and leaving.
Yeah.
And coming home, and she finally said, "What are we going to do?" And I said, "I don't know, but I just want to go to church with my wife."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
That's what led us here.
Yeah. Well, we're thankful because, we love you guys.
we loved the people at Markle, and we still
still
do.
do.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I mean.
they were there for us and surrounded us,
Oh,
but
my.
it just honestly was as simply as that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, we're thankful that
So-
we are able to be in relationship with you for this season of life and being able to glean, learn, be together, do life together. It's been a great blessing for us.
Do life
And-
together.
Yeah, so that's been good for us. So, yeah, thanks for taking time and coming on. And again, remember when this comes out. So if you haven't, you guys are first service people.
Yep.
Yeah,
much,
so if you haven't had a chance, come up and say hi on the first service and get to know them. Great couple, great people that you can get involved with and get to know. If you're seeing it on Facebook when it comes out, make sure you like, share, or comment so we can get it into this story into other people's feeds, and so other people can learn from you guys' journey and the powerful story and testimony that you guys had. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.